Ranked is officially right around the corner for PUBG. And what better way, boys and girls, to get prepared than going into the top 10 guns in PUBG right now. Now, today is May 18th, meaning tomorrow, the ranked games, they officially hit live servers. I'm so stoked for this one. I've been waiting so long to make this top 10 video, and honestly, it's just taken forever. I've been waiting for ranked. PUBG has taken their sweet time. I was like, oh, I'm going to make the top 10 guns of 2020. Why would I do it right before ranked? It doesn't make any sense. And I kept thinking, it's coming, it's coming. No, but it's finally here. It's happening. And this is going to be freaking awesome. I've taken into account the new nerf to the M4, losing 1 damage, extended reload speed to all 5.56 ARs. On top of that, the barrel, the recent buff, we've taken that into account. The UMP, the limb modifier, all of these things we're taking into account right now to figure out what is the most viable gun in the competitive atmosphere. Now, I do want to be very clear that everything I talk about here is my own opinion. And on top of that, I'm focusing on squads because I think squads is just way better gameplay wise. Solos, it's going to be a little different. If you guys are playing solos, look at the snipers. They're a little bit better. The DMR is a little bit worse. Well, besides that, the basis is pretty much the same. Now, on top of that, we've been back streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/Jabroni. It's been so much fun. I cannot wait to play ranked every freaking day and get master. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be so exciting. So if you guys want to watch twitch.tv/Jabroni, head over there, follow. At the end of every stream, we break down clips from viewers. So if you guys have PUBG or PUBG mobile clips, bring them on down. We'll watch them on stream. We'll talk about them. We'll see what's up. On top of that, YouTube. Wow! YouTube has been insane. Our YouTube channel has tripled in size. Tripled in size in only 2 months. We have exceeded past 3,000 subscribers. Every time I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow, 3,000 subs. We're already 400 subscribers past that. So we're booming. We're absolutely flying. So thank you guys for all subscribing. If you are not subscribed, apparently 95% of people who watch my videos are not subscribed. Hit that subscribe button, dude. Let's do it. Let's get to 10K. Let's get to 10K. We're going to have 10,000 subscribers, and it's going to be nuts. For those of you guys waiting for the masterclass videos, they are coming. I'm sorry, so much has happened. I moved. I'm back in New Jersey. On top of that, coronavirus. It was terrible. I spent a couple days in the hospital. I did not have corona, something else, but it was just miserable. Then on top of that, rain the other day, there's a lot going on. I had to get my PC set up. I got a new microphone, got a new chair, a different desk setup. There's a lot going on, but the next video is in the works, and it is a 3-part team fight video. It is coming, and I cannot wait to get those ranked clips this week to use in it. That being said, enough of the BS. It is now officially time to get into the top 10 guns in PUBG right now. To start this video off, rather than number 10, we're going to start at number 11. And this is the only exception to the top 10 rule. It is the barrel. Now, the barrel has just received a buff this past week right before ranked began. I've put in a lot of time with this gun, especially in the shooting range, just to kind of get a feel for it and see what's going on. But I'm kind of struggling to figure out how exactly effective this is going to be in the upper rankings in PUBG. Now, the recent buff was a direct change in recoil, making the gun significantly smoother. However, it still struggles with vertical recoil at long range. Meaning, if you are aiming to 3x or 4x spray, those of you less experienced players are going to have a lot of problems here. It's still not easy. For this reason, I'm going to put this on the guns to look out for list, as I think its viability may grow over the next few months as more players use it, more players get used to it. So don't be scared to pick it up if you see it in ranked games. Grab it and give it a try. It can supplement as one of your main ARs. So if you're not really into the M4, you don't really like the damage it's putting out, you're not an AK player, grab the barrel, see how it goes, and don't be scared to try it with a 3x, a reduced 6, potentially even a 4x sight. The speed of the shots are great. On top of that, the damage output of the barrel is super, super nice. And if anyone's within 50 meters of you, this gun is an absolute laser beam, okay, with the red dot. The recoil is smooth. You can obliterate other players. Coming in at number 10 is actually 2 guns. I know, I'm breaking the rule again. But it's the Kar 98 and the brand new Mosin Nagant. These two bolt-action rifles are currently the best world spawn sniper rifles in the game. The Mosin Nagant, being a new addition, is actually a complete copy of the Kar 98. So if you don't like one, but you like the other, that's all mental, boys. That's all mental. They have the exact same damage coming out, so I put these guns literally on top of one another. Now, some of you may be a bit confused, thinking it's weird that the best world spawn sniper in the game comes in at only number 10. But that is a result of the current PUBG meta. Snipers, they just aren't that good. In a squad-based atmosphere, it is recommended that your team runs no more than one sniper at a somewhat high elo. And when it comes to pro games, most teams won't touch any. I will say before we move on that bolt actions gain effectivity when you are playing duos or solos. But it's very important you pair a bolt action with a versatile main AR, like an M416 or a SCAR. At lower rankings, the K9 and Mosin are definitely more effective secondary options, and especially if you practice your shot. Number 9, the UMP45. Surprise, surprise, the brand new buffed UMP actually makes the list. Now, before I continue at all talking of the UMP, I'll be honest, I was a bit hesitant in adding it to the top 10. Although the new buffs have the UMP looking tier 1 on paper, no one has really seen this gun working its magic consistently in competitive games. If you guys watched the past video I put up earlier this week, you can see in that video the limb modifiers, bullet penetration. It actually creates such a weird dynamic with the UMP that the gun is way better than it should be. And it also creates this weird leg meta that the quickest way to consistently kill an opponent is 4 shots to the legs. It's a very strange thing, and it's very difficult to get used to, and no, I do not recommend anybody picks up any gun and try to shoot other players in the legs. Just grab an AR instead. The UMP is going to throw you off. It's going to make you less consistent overall, and I think that's a bad decision. But the overall damage of this gun, it's extraordinary. The fall off from range could be a huge negative factor on maps like Miramar, but as of right now, I consider the UMP45 a great pickup in the early game, but would still expect most players to drop it by Circle 2 after finding some bodies to loot. The UMP's power really exists only because of the limb modifier, giving it the ability to out DPS any assault rifle in the game if you have a bit of a wild spray. And that's something else that's really weird here. The gun actually benefits from poor aim. If you're aiming center mass, you're looking to hit the chest, and you hit an arm, there's a pretty good chance you're going to do more damage. Keep an eye on this gun in ranked, and don't be scared to take it into the endgame if you have the ammunition. A 3 to 6x on top of this unit suppressed will confuse the hell out of enemies, and on top of that, it can be very, very accurate. And that brings us to number 8 on our list of the top 10 guns in PUBG, our first airdrop exclusive, the Groza. When it comes to damage, the Groza is the only AR that matches up equally with the AKM, with a base damage of 47. On top of having an insane damage output, the Groza further improves upon the AKM with a faster fire rate and smoother recoil. As of today, right now, the Groza has the quickest time to kill of any assault rifle in PUBG, putting down a player with a level 3 vest in only 0.32 seconds, if you connect with center mass. For those of you who may be a little more advanced with the recoil control, don't be scared to add a 3 or 4x to the top of this bad boy. There are a lot of incredibly satisfying things in PUBG, but nothing quite hits the spot like a suppressed Groza spray, using a 4x on a player or a vehicle in mid to short range. If you come across a crate and find a Groza inside, I consider this firearm a must take. So if you don't pick it up, make sure a teammate does. Personally, I like to pair my Groza with a strong DMR, and would recommend the same for you. Number 7 on our list finalizes the bolt action rifles, another crate exclusive, the AWM. The AWM is the only weapon in the game with a base damage of over 100 at 105. On top of that, it is well known for being the only way to one-shot a level 3 helmet, making it incredibly strong when it comes to peak fights. As stated before, the reality is that bolt-action rifles just are not that good in comparison to their DMR counterparts. The AWM, however, is a weapon I would recommend a team always takes advantage of. Its strengths include the ability to surprise an enemy and open up a fight with an instant knock, which could put your squad at an instant player advantage, and end some teamfights before another team even has a moment to respond. Somewhat lesser known also, the AWM will one-shot a level 1 vest if you hit the upper chest, giving the AWM moving target abilities that DMRs and the other bolt-action rifles just do not have. Another huge plus when it comes to competitive games is the ability an AWM has to steal kills by hitting knocked players. Now, I do not recommend wasting too much of your ammo here, but if you see a player that is knocked and you can hit your shot, why not get the 3-point? All in all, the AWM is a must-take, and I recommend you use it in public games so you are ready for ranked. Being a good shot with a bolt is a rare but incredibly useful skill to come by. I gotta say, I'm sorry in advance for this one. Number 6, the M416. Yes, I know. Seeing the M4 all the way down at number 6 is painful for many. Originally, when I first completed this script, the M4 was at number 3. However, with new changes coming once again, an extra 1 damage reduction, and increased reload times for all 5.56 ARs, I had to come in here and alter this list and take the M4 down a notch. Now, for most players who dabble in competitive or high-level play, the M4 is your bread and butter. I get it. It's always been old reliable. But the reality now is you may be doing yourself a disservice by overusing this AR. For the time being, I'm not willing to put the M4 further down the list, as I think it will still be the most popular full auto weapon in PUBG for at least this ranked season. The versatility of the M4 is just something that is not easily replicated by any other gun. As the meta shifts and develops though, I would expect the M249 to take precedence over this gun, along with many players at lower ranks preferring the UMP, and potentially even the barrel. If you guys get a chance to use this newly nerfed gun in ranked, hit me with a comment on how the effectiveness has altered, and whether or not you will maintain the M4 as your favorite main. Number 5, the Mini 14. As we approach the upper half of our list, it is finally time that the DMRs begin to make an appearance. First up at number 5 is the Mini 14. For those of you who are familiar with pro games, you are familiar with the Mini. A favorite of competitive players from around the world, this gun tends to be up in the damage charts at every major PUBG event. With the nerf of bolt actions that came last year, DMRs jumped into the front of all damage statistics in competitive play. Now, this is likely due to the average range of firefights that occur in PUBG. Although you may think that assault rifles are king, the reality is most bullets are fired at a range over 100 meters away, making DMRs an absolute priority. When you're heading into ranked, unless you are the sniper for your team, I recommend picking up a Mini or an SLR every single game. Pairing them with a spray AR will put you in a position where you are ready for any fight or interaction. The Mini has a few advantages as well. Being a 5.56 DMR, your ammo is not overbearing to your character's overall weight. On top of that, the Mini is extremely forgiving if you need to spam shots quickly. So if someone ends up being a little bit closer to you than originally expected, a gun switch to an assault rifle is not always necessary. Number 4, the SLR. The SLR, also known as the self-loading rifle, will take the number 4 spot in our list. Similar to the Mini, the SLR is extremely effective in competitive PUBG with the current meta. It has a few inconveniences, including a smaller magazine and a slower fire rate than that of its 5.56 counterpart, but it makes up for it in its absolute tier 1 damage output. In competitive games, SLRs are tier 1 due to their ability to knock a player who has just used a first aid, hitting for 81 damage on a level 2 helmet, thus giving you an ability to punish players who re-peek too early. On top of that, with an SLR, you can render a player useless by putting a 7.62 round in their skull, forcing them to first aid. If you see an SLR in your looting phase, consider yourself lucky, as you are now instantly prepared to compete in the endgame. This weapon is at its best in ranges of over 100 meters, putting out ear-ringing damage in only a few rounds. I suggest using this as much as possible to keep the pressure on your opponents from a distance. Even some random rounds through smoke can prove effective, and who knows, you may connect for some free elo. And with that, we are finally in our top 3. Now before I continue, I want everyone to be honest with me here. If you've hung out and you've watched the video so far, drop a comment below right now and tell me what you think number 1 is going to be. When the video ends, double back, check if you're right, reply to yourself, say you were wrong. I'd love to see some honest comments down below. With that being said though, let's get back to the countdown. Coming in at number 3 is the M249. Now, I, along with many, have been huge supporters of the M249 while it was still in crates. But how does it get nerfed, become a world spawn, and still sit on my list at number 3? And that is where the interesting part comes into play. The M249 did get a nerf. It is more difficult to shoot. It does have a smaller standard magazine. However, I still consider it so far above and beyond the assault rifles in PUBG. It is a must take every single game. Now I know a lot of you are saying, but what about the M4? When I originally made this list, I will be honest, the M4 did surpass the M249 just slightly. But with the new nerf plus the reload time on the 5.56 ARs, something had to be done. The more I play with the M249, the more I like it. With an extended mag, 150 rounds, vehicles rendered useless. In competitive games, vehicles are beyond important. And being able to disable them is beyond important. And I think that is something that is huge. If you have multiple M249s on one team, which is very possible in this meta, very, very possible, you will dominate the lobby. Teams trying to rotate past you will instantly lose tires. If you take the time to crouch, if you put a 6x, a 4x, a 3x on top of your M249, the damage output is out of control. Now, personally, I do think this gun actually needs a nerf to be a world spawn. I think the magazine needs to probably become even lower, and I think that's something that's very important. On top of that, clearing buildings with the M249, pushing in, not having to reload, being able to go room after room after room. The potential is just way too high for the M249. And it's something that, I've been looking for issues with it. I've been looking for problems, but I tap fire with this thing at range. I spray it at range. I use it at closer. I always want to use the M249. And a lot of the time, while using a DMR, I find myself barely switching, which is why I had to put the M249 so high on this list. Number 2, the AUG. Now this one is actually pretty funny because I just consider the AUG a better M4. The attachments are the same. The stats are almost the same. The only thing that really happens with the AUG is it feels better. And we talked earlier when I put the M4 at number 6. The most important thing about the M4 was versatility. And that's what the AUG gives you. Now it comes out of a crate, so you feel like Iron Man when you're running around in full level 3 gear on top of it. But the AUG is right there in the every situation category. No matter what situation you may be in, the AUG is at the top of your list. And that's what PUBG is. It's a game of different situations every single round. You never get in the same fight. You're never in the same position fighting a player in the same position. Every single fight is different. Every single game is different. And the AUG will always perform. And that is why it is number 2 on this list. If you guys see an AUG, consider it a must take. Get used to it, learn to use it, and start putting people in the dirt. And finally, boys, the top of our list, the champion of them all, the MK14. Now, when I think MK14, I think perfect. Everything about this gun is fantastic. Using it as a DMR, it's far superior than that of the SLR, better than a Mini, and it feels great at long range. On top of that, throw a red dot on it. Push a building. The base damage of 61 will dominate any opponent. And that's what makes this gun so special. A lot of the times when I'm running an MK14, I feel incredibly comfortable to run it with a bolt. That way, if I have the situation to run a bolt action rifle, I can quickly switch to it, look for my knock, and then continue. But if I'm using my MK14, I'm ready for anything. Someone pushes your building, doesn't matter, put them in the dirt. The full auto feels really, really good. Now, a lot of people are going to be thinking, yeah, but there's some recoil, it's a little difficult to control. It's not that bad, guys. Honestly, give it a couple of tries, practice with it a little bit, and I promise you, very, very quickly, you'll be able to handle the MK14 every single time. And that is why it is number 1 on our list as the best gun in PUBG right now. Hey guys, I want to give a big thank you. This video was actually a lot of fun to make. I tried to keep it short on each gun. I didn't really want to go over a minute or two on any specific gun and talk about all the different numbers and all the different, potential of headshots, whatever. If you guys are interested in that stuff, feel free to come by the stream. We definitely go way more in depth over there. There's a lot of time, so we can kind of hang out. But for video's sake, wanted to keep it a little bit shorter. I appreciate everyone watching. Please be sure to subscribe. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.